it, son. I'm not so cold as to mock your pain. A wise choice, Sub-Zero.
Round 1.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Steven, and welcome back to the SixTuberProductions and another Mortal Kombat 11 video. And in this video, I will be going through my personal ideas as to how NetherRealm can make the best story yet for MK11. Now, before we get started, please make sure to like the video. It truly helps me out a lot, and it's a great way to support the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So usually, Mortal Kombat games have some pretty decent stories, and their storytelling has definitely evolved throughout the years and has been improved immensely. But sadly, a shortcoming was Mortal Kombat X's new story mode. It was alright, but it had multiple plot holes. It focused too much on the new combat kids like Cassie Cage, Kung Jin, Jackie Briggs, Takeda, and so on, thus making them really strong and really OP without even earning it, because basically the plot demanded it. There's also this other problem that's been present in almost every NetherRealm story, and that's the filler fights. What that basically means is that the story forces you to get into unnecessary or pointless fights so they can technically prolong the story mode in length, and most of these were present in MK9, such as that one fight with Johnny Cage and Sonya that, in my opinion, was completely unnecessary and kind of ridiculous, if you think of it. Not to mention the chapter system that was introduced in MK vs. DC and MK9 was kind of flawed by default, because you have to play with one character in 4 consecutive fights and then move on to the next character and repeat. What this does, it basically limits the story, and it forces it to be predictable, flawed, and jam-packed with these filler fights. And of course, it's an unnecessary pattern. And this is where my ideas come into play. So, in my opinion, they should completely remove the chapter system entirely. Let the story flow naturally from character to character, and without the chapters, the plot holes can be minimized as well. Because, for example, one character will be a complete badass in his chapter, and then they completely get demolished by everyone after his chapter. And after his chapter is done completely. And they get demolished by everyone, even by jobbers at times, like Reptile and Baraka. But if the chapter system was removed, then that problem can entirely disappear, because the pattern is basically gone. But of course, there's another process that every story mode has to go through, and that's balancing the gameplay segments and the cinematic segments, because you can't just have the players sitting there doing nothing, of course. You want everybody to be engaged and right on the edge of their seats. I think a system similar to Detroit Become Human could work. An interactive story with quick time events, mini games, maybe some puzzles as well, and of course choices, but we'll get into that later on. So what this does, it basically allows the cutscenes to be longer, and the player will have their hands on the controller all the time. And if you don't really know what this means, I recommend getting into Detroit Become Human. It's a really great game. It doesn't have that much gameplay, but it has a lot of cutscenes, and it makes those cutscenes not boring, because there's actual gameplay, well, quote-unquote gameplay in it. And if you play, you'll see what I mean. But moving on. Now when it comes to the story, I have some personal suggestions for that as well. So we all know time travel is going to be the main selling point in the story, and that's cool. For example, you got young Liu Kang and young Kung Lao that were already revealed in the story cutscenes. What if those were the same Liu Kang and Kung Lao that we've seen in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks? Now that idea by itself screams awesome, and this could be a great way to continue Shaolin Monks and get somewhat of a sequel to it. Also, seeing those versions of MK characters interacting with their main continuity counterparts would be insane. Just imagine the stuff between Good Raiden and Dark Raiden, their duality, their ideologies, Like, and same goes for Liu Kang, Scorpion, Katana, and so on. And the choices, of course. These can truly make the game really engaging. If this game will have a real choice system, this could be the best Mortal Kombat story of all time, because this would not only raise the stakes by a ton, it will also allow more possibilities and storylines to shine, and it will work flawlessly with the time travel stuff. NetherRealm shouldn't be going too deep into this mechanic because that would be kind of unnecessary, but it should definitely be used enough to some extent. For example, you're playing as Kuai Liang, the younger and current Sub-Zero, and his older brother Bihan, aka Noob Saibot, returns to see that his younger brother has made peace with Scorpion, the guy that killed him basically, and now Scorpion also being a good guy. Imagine having to choose a side, either choosing your brother and maybe even betray Earthrealm and the other good guys and stuff, or abandoning your brother for the greater good. Now that would be really interesting in a story like this. And with this, they can also have multiple endings as well, maybe at the end of the game having to choose a side, just like in Injustice 2, this time between Dark Raiden or Cassie Cage and the others, or maybe even Kronika, having her playable just in the story, that being another incentive to play the story because you get to play as the bad guy for the first time and she's only playable in the story. But anyways, so if Dark Raiden wins, I'd see him probably conquering other realms such as Outworld, the Netherrealm, the Chaos Realm, and so on. If the good guys win, you'll probably just get your normal happy ending with maybe some casualties throughout the stories depending on your choices. And if Kronika wins, maybe everyone will be back to their Shaolin monk selves, or even maybe their original timeline selves. It would be really interesting to pull off something like this, even though it's basically impossible, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, just imagine seeing like Kronika winning and everybody that wasn't in the original timeline or the Shaolin monks timeline just basically fades, just erases, like Back to the Future style or Infinity War style, seeing like Cassie Cage, Kung Jin, Takeda, Jackie all fading. Like, that would be so awesome to see. That would be really interesting. I don't know if that's really possible, if they ever do this, but it would be insane. And I'm pretty sure, like, this was so obvious to do that maybe somebody at NetherRealm consider this, and yeah, we'll see. I also want them to keep focusing on these current plot lines and storylines that were established in the current timeline, such as the Revenant storyline, Scorpion and Sub-Zero's alliance, Dark Raiden, the Combat Kids, and so on, because these also have potential and they should be used, definitely. And it would be a waste of an opportunity to just drop them just like that. So they really should still focus on those as well. So these are my ideas and suggestions for the MK11 story mode. To make myself clear, I don't hate or dislike NetherRealm stories. I actually really love them, and Injustice 2 was my favorite story from NetherRealm, and I absolutely adore the lore of Mortal Kombat, and hopefully I'll make other lore and story related videos in the future for Mortal Kombat. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe for more Mortal Kombat 11 videos, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. My name is Steven, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you guys for watching.